Thanks again for purchasing AI Magic. I've had a blast with this as a magician and prankster, and I know you will too. Now, in the very basic setting, you can just ask a spectator to tell you what their chosen card is, you tell the phone accordingly, and the app does the rest. Now, in the event you want to do it in a more magical way, let me teach you some really simple ways to either locate or force a card on people. We understand that a few magicians might be purchasing this app, and you have many ways to force or locate a card. So good luck to you, have some fun, but for the rest of you, check this out. Here's some really simple ways to force a card on someone before the trick even starts. Let's say I wanted to force the 8 of diamonds. I would go through the cards like this and have you tell me when to stop. You say stop, and then I show you the card you picked, 8 of diamonds. So all you're doing is holding the back edge of a deck across with your middle finger and thumb, and from the underside, you're doing the opposite. You're grabbing with the middle finger and thumb from the top and pulling off small chunks onto that free hand. That's all you're doing. And the whole time, the bottom card stays intact. So you can place any card you want there, or have someone shuffle the deck, give it to you, take the cards back, and just notice what the card is and proceed accordingly. What you don't want to do is this. Having big spaces between the two halves and flashing this bottom card. You want to bring the two halves together and look like you're pulling random chunks of cards. And then they say stop, you show them the card. This next one's called the gravity force. What you're going to do as you push the cards across to let someone select one is secretly pull the bottom card from the deck along with the pack. So as I go through and they say stop, I pull these cards away, square these up, and I've added what was the bottom of the cards to be their selection. So once again, as you start to pull the cards, slide the bottom card along with the first few cards you slide, and as you can tell, you're just shoving the rest of the pack between that card and the top cards. And when they say stop, of course it'll be face down, you pull the rest of the cards away, square up the pack, but face down, I'm just showing you so you can see, and then show them the card they evidently stopped at. This is the easiest force in the world. I'm going to force the King of Clubs. You have someone cut the cards, and when they're done cutting them, you mark them where they've cut. Once you've marked the card, you look at the spectator and you say, you could have cut to any card, you cut to one, let's see where you cut. This couple seconds of talking is very important so they lose track of what went where because you've actually completely bluffed. They haven't cut the card. Let me show you up close. So how this crisscross cut works is placing a forced card on top, in this case the King of Clubs. You let your friend cut the cards anywhere they want, and you mark where they've cut. But you're not really marking where they've cut, you're actually marking the top of the deck. Because when you pull this back and look here, that's the original top card. But because you take what is the bottom of the deck and place it on top in a crisscross fashion, it visually throws them off, especially when you look up for just a moment. This force is somewhat advanced. You're going to throw cards onto the table and ask your friend to tell you when to stop. They say stop and you cut to the 8 of diamonds. The way this works is you secretly have the card you want to force in the middle of the deck with the other cards on top, about half the cards. You're going to put the cards together, but in a unique way. You see there's this big break in the back called a pinky break. You subtly stick your pinky in there, and from the front, you can't tell, you just square the cards up, but you have this slight little break. You start to pull off a few cards at a time, and you say, hey, just tell me when to stop. And now it's timing. You only want to have 2 more tosses from when you say, tell me when to stop. You're going to go 1, and then you grab this. If they say stop, continue moving forward, and there's the chosen card. If they continue one more time, take a big chunk and throw it on the table. If they say stop, you say, okay, here's where you had me stop. Either way, you win. There's a little bit of timing in this one, and it takes a little bit of experience. But I wanted to throw it in so you can have a fun way to do a force. This next force is called the slip force. You've probably seen it or even have tried it. You riffle through the cards, the spectator says stop, and you have the 8 of diamonds. you're able to force the top card because when you pull this top packet away when they say stop, you're secretly removing that top card from the back side as you pull that section away. And then you get to force that card. So one more time, you grab this top section with your thumb and middle fingers. On the back side, your fingers wrap around and are touching the top card on the back so it is able to slide that off in one quick motion. If you don't do this well, it's going to sound like that. So if you do it real smoothly, it shouldn't make really any noise at all. This next one will look a lot like this slip force, except the mechanics are completely different. You're going to take the force card and put it in the middle of the deck between two packets. It's going to be on the bottom of the top packet. Those two packets come together, but they're not completely squared up. You have a special break back here with your pinky called a pinky break. From the front, it looks legit, and from the back, you still have control over the cards. So what you're going to do is riffle through the cards like you've done in other forces. They say stop. You don't actually take over right here. It's going to look like you did this, but what you're really going to do is riffle. They say stop. You're going to take over the break from the back where this big pinky break is, and you're going to lift up from there instead. It's a complete bluff, and that's how you force this force card. One more time, they say stop, and you remove the break from the back. But because of the proximity, you can't tell that you're off by a small chunk of cards. Now watch this. Even if I do it from the beginning, they say stop. I'll still reach down and take the entire large chunk. That's how effective it is. This next one's called the riffle peek, and what you're going to do is have your friend look through the cards and remember one. It's that simple, but you're going to cheat in a couple ways. First of all, you're going to put your hand up to block, so apparently you can't see. From their perspective, it looks like you're doing this, but in actuality, this is what it looks like. From your perspective, you clearly see the cards as they go by. The other thing you're going to do is pause for a moment at one card, and then you say, remember one of the cards. In this case, it would be the Queen of Hearts. So it's going to look like you're blocking your view, they're peeking at a card, and it's free choice. But in fact, you pause for a moment at one particular card and you've seen it as well. All right, guys, there you go. There's a huge selection of ways to either force or locate a chosen card. We just wanted to give you a big variety so you can pick one that fits your personality. But remember, you only need one. And thanks again for purchasing AI Magic. I know you're going to have a blast.